guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I know I haven't really been around in the YouTube world or in general because I've just been really busy and there's like a lot of new like life changes and stuff happening with me mainly as far as like work. So I will be back. I'm slowly getting into the routine of things and I'm super excited to post more content on here. So today I want to tell a quick story. I haven't been able to tell this story because I was actually working at the place that this happened at. And I figured that probably wasn't okay, but I'm no longer working with them. And I have no ties, so I don't see why I can't tell this story, right? So a lot of people have a lot of different stories about working at Ulta, but here's my story. So I'm going to be talking about how a specific theft happened and how a gun was pulled on me. So basically, I'm going to start the story off by saying it was a couple of years ago. I'm really kind of over it by now, but at the time I was very, very, very naive and very, how do I say, stupid. I was very naive and I had just gotten promoted to merchandise service coordinator, which is basically like the lowest tier of management that you can become, right? So that's basically the one that does the truck shipments. Typically it's the closer. And so I was super, super pumped about that. It was in October. It was October of 2017 actually, because Patrick and I had got married that year and we were still living in our apartment. So I had been taking down old signage. So it was me and another girl. This was a Thursday night. It was around 8 o'clock. Me, another girl, and then another employee. So there was 3 of us in the building, right? Me, a new girl, and one of our boutiques. So someone that was there full time but wasn't a manager, right? So I was taking down signage and I saw this group outside, a family outside the doors, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think anything of it, you know, total normal Thursday night. Whenever I go out to eat with my family, we always stand outside and talk. Like, it's just not a big deal. So I saw about, I think it was 6 people like in total standing all outside. And then I see a older man walk inside and he just like stands up and he just looks around, right? And then he walks out. So I was like, oh, okay, that's weird, but whatever. Maybe he's making sure we're still open. Again, naive. Don't work in retail if you're going to be naive. That's my biggest piece of advice. But so I ended up, you know, continuing to work on the signage, whatever. I was standing up behind the registers. And all of a sudden, they all walk in. It was the older man. He was probably in his, like, 70s. An older female, again, probably in her 70s. They looked like the grandparents of the group. And then there was 2 younger men, probably in their, like, early to late 20s. Early to mid 20s, how about that? And then there was 2 younger females around the same age, probably early 30s. And then there was 3 children, all under the age of 10, right? So they all walk in and they all immediately like split up, right? And I didn't think anything of it. A lot of times, like, the women will go do whatever while the guys just kind of walk around and wait for the women to hurry up, basically. So I didn't think anything of it. I asked them if they wanted help. I said the generic, hi, welcome to Ulta sort of thing. They didn't say anything back, which, again, that's not too alarming. Like, I didn't think anything of it. People like to be rude, so. And, so I started talking to one of the other employees, and she was talking to me about, like, how we, like, closed down and everything. Because this was her first night, okay? The first night, this cashier's first night. So I was telling her about like how all the closing duties work, and then our boutique, the full-timer that was there, she walked around the whole store with the person and basically was like showing her everything, right? So all of a sudden I noticed that both of those women, my employees, were with other people that were in the store, and they were just like helping them a lot, right? And so I was like, that's kind of odd. And that was like my first like, this is weird, because they were both like always trying to keep the employees' eyes on that individual person, right? So one of them was asking about makeup, and one was asking about hair. And then there was me, and I was the only other employee, right? So then all of a sudden, sorry I'm from like all over the place. I have to get like back in the groove of telling some like stories, because I'm always like and I talk way too much. But anyways, so all of a sudden I see an Urban Decay palette on the floor in our mask section, which our mask section is like Revlon and L'Oreal and CoverGirl and all those drugstore brands. So I was like, that's weird. And the alarm for it was going off, and we have like little LM tags on each makeup palette, I guess, or like any of the more expensive things. So that was on the back of it, and it was laying over en masse on the floor. So I was like, okay, something's weird. Someone's trying to get my attention away from the front of the store and over to this corner, right? So I go over and I pick it up really quick, and then all of a sudden I just knew in my heart that something weird was going on. So I walk over to Fragrance, which is where the two gentlemen were, and then one of the younger ladies. So the two younger guys and the younger lady, right? They were over there. And then all of a sudden there was no one else in the store, and everybody else had gotten in their car, which was right outside of our front doors. So I knew something was going on. I like started like hyperventilating. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a new manager. How am I supposed to deal with theft? Like I had like really the only thing that I knew was to guest service people, right? Because that's all you can do. It's not worth your life, right? So I noticed that this guy has 4 huge bags of fragrance stuffed in these bags, right? And the like Ulta shopping bags. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the first thing that ran through my head was, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to be in so much trouble for letting this happen. And so I went up to him and I said, do you want me to hold those for you at the front? Because that's the only thing we can say. We can't be like, hey, give me those bags, or we can't accuse anyone of stealing, because who knows, maybe they're gonna take those up front and purchase them, you know. So soon as I did that, the guy ran around the front tables and was standing like kind of near the door, but kind of not near the door. And so then I got defensive, and I was like, heck no, you're not going to be taking my stuff, right? So taking my stuff. This is my stuff. This is my store. You're not going to be messing with me. So I lunged forward towards the man, and then all of a sudden, like in like a flash of my eyes, like I had no idea this was coming whatsoever, he pulls out a gun and he says, and he points at me and he says, do not, what he said like something like basically like, don't come near me or I'll shoot you, you blank blankety blankety blanky, I'll blank blank blank, right? So I was like, that's all I did. And you could, and when I went back and watched this camera video, you couldn't even see the guy do it, but you could see me go like this, because I was just like, what do I do? And so I put up my hands and I was like, okay, you know, you take whatever you want, you know, you're good boy, you can have it. And in the meantime, all of the alarms are going off, all of the fragrance alarms, because you have to think about it. If there are 60 fragrances stuffed into a bag, each of those alarms are going to go off, because they go off according to like your light, like the light intake. And if all of them are covered up in a bag by each other, all of the alarms are going to go off, right? And then of course the door alarm starts going off. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so he finally runs out, right? As soon as he realizes I'm like this, he runs out, okay? He hops into the car that's outside. And after that, I was like, I just went like this. What? I was in so much shock. And then all of a sudden, here comes the last person in the store running out with 4 other bags, right? And again, me stupidly and so naive, I leaned forward and I tried to grab one of the bags out of her hands because I was like, okay, if you're gonna try to go, you can go, but I'm gonna get something, or I'm gonna try to do something, right? Which, do not do that. Do not do that if you work at a retail store. Do not do that. I learned my lesson. And so she like pulls it like this, you know, like you know, she like pulls it away like, you're not gonna have that, right? So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna try, I'm not gonna break my arm. And so they left, they got in their car and they drove off. I didn't get their license plate, didn't get anything. As soon as they left, I started crying. I was in so much shock that had just happened that I started having panic attack. I started crying. I didn't know what to do. So I picked up the phone and I called 911. Oh, I called 911, which, well, I'll get to that. So I called 911 and I told them what happened, right? And then I called my husband and I told him what happened. And then the girl that was in there that it was her first day, she started crying because she was just like, oh my gosh, like she had no idea that this sort of stuff happened, which I've never, like, all the thefts I've dealt with in my management experience at Ulta is nothing compared to that, right? So I was just crying and hyperventilating, and then I had to do a massive report on everything that was missing, which was not fun because there was a lot. And so yeah, basically, anyways, the police officer came. He didn't wipe down, but he tried to do a like a fingerprint thingy on the door because the man with the gun had pushed on the door. And so I was hoping like you could get his like full handprint. And of course, couldn't pick up anything, whatever. Well, it turns out that the people are from Guatemala. And I guess they had done this to a store in a bigger city around us. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that my general manager at the time had said that. So yeah, that's how people got away with $13,000 on my shift. And they just went to sell it, I'm sure. But anyways, then I got in trouble for calling 911 because I should have called our district manager first, which is the problem with corporations. But whatever. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of the story, is the fact that a gun got pulled on me while someone was stealing lots of fragrance. And like also like they had little kids with them, so I didn't think anything of it. I was like, there's like nothing's wrong, like they have kids with them. Yeah, okay. People don't care about their kids and what they see nowadays, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that was pretty crazy, and that was probably like one of like the worst experiences of my life because I was hysterical. And then I think I had PTSD because I did not want to close the store for like a month, so I had to open. But anyways, that was like my biggest first theft experience. So hope you guys like this story. If not, that's okay. But if you did, it's a good story now that I've been through it. I will say that working in retail, you know, it really sucks when it comes to that kind of stuff, but it's not worth your life. That product is not worth your life. It's not worth you. You can replace the product, but you can't replace yourself. So just remember that if anybody ever comes in and tries to mess with you. And it happens everywhere. You know, it could happen at Walmart. It could happen at TJ Maxx. It could happen anywhere. So really is no rhyme or reason to it. Just be on guard, look out for everything, and don't ever be naive to the fact that it could be a normal family. So yeah, let me know if you guys want to hear any other retail horror stories that I have, because I have quite a few. And yeah, I'll get back to you guys later. Bye.